All right, hello everybody. All right, yeah. All right, I see what you're saying there. Let's see. You're saying usually another one comes out right on the on the dot um here, so we'll see if the second one comes out. Yeah, I wouldn't know why the well, YouTube can be a little screwy sometimes, but guess we'll wait and see. Um, anyways, yeah. Okay, so hold on, let me. Yeah. The one came out now just as you started, so I just didn't see the other one a half hour early. Okay. Well, at least, yeah, it is good. Um, but just of course, if you can, make sure just double check, make sure you're subscribed and all that. Just to, but I guess you are if you got the second one. So, and as always, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. If you can help out with that, that'd be appreciated as well. Um, See if we can get some more friendly people in here. So people should come flooding in any. Well, hopefully. um, RJ stream's finishing up. I know Lorenzo Sleep Stack was streaming earlier, and other people will stream as well. So I know it's a little bit slow. So hopefully some people will be showing up soon. Um, but we'll still give them a few minutes. So I hope your day went well today. And I haven't heard back from Batgoat yet, but well, we know we won't probably hear from him until next week, hopefully. At the latest. I hope your day went well today. Hope you had a fulfilling day and all that. Like I said, we're just gonna wait for a few minutes, see if people show up. Right, I'm gonna go check something right now. Just see if maybe see about some reminders here. Here, here, here. All right, let's see. Well, we got one more light, so that's good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I spent a month or two away from my little hobby software. I've been digging in again since yesterday, so making funny little pictures. All right. Yeah, it does seem like people haven't been active in a while. Like are actually starting to become active again. I guess you're getting active again. Mamie, I think, dropped in last night. I believe she's starting up again. I don't know if it was last night or the night before, but May's starting up again as well. So a bit would seem. So, yeah. So, anyways, I said we're just waiting around for some people, and I just sent a message to Toys so on Facebook. So hopefully some people will show up soon. Let's see now. Well, all right, we'll go later. Yeah. So, anyways, we got some more people starting to show up. All right. As always, guys, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. Um, we'll probably get in. Let's see, we're just past 6 minutes here. So, oh wow, and then the person dropped away. Yeah. So, anyways, I guess we'll wait a couple more minutes here, and then I'll probably get started. Yeah. George of the jungle, strong as he can be. Watch out for that tree. George of the jungle, strong as he can be. Watch out for that tree. George of the jungle, strong as he can be. Watch out for that tree. George of the jungle, strong as he can be. Watch out for that tree. All right, so we're at 8 minute mark. There's at least two of us. I'm hoping you're still here with me, Woody. Anyways, so let's see. All right, so we're just past the 8 minute mark. So I guess I'll go ahead and kind of talk about what's on tap for tonight, and then we'll get into it. So we'll have 5 articles tonight. 4 from Bounding into Comics, 1 from RJ's site, the Critical Blast site. Got 2 and 2. We'll have 2 comic stories, 2 anime stories, and kind of an animation cartoon story. We're gonna actually do the comics first, and then the cartoon story, and then we'll actually finish up with the anime stories. Um, Actually, I figured a couple. I have 2 of these stories. I had a feeling my RJ might be interested in. Of course, the one from his side, but also one I'll be doing here at the beginning. When he gets in a scrape, he makes his escape with the help of his friend, an ape named Ape. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, all right. So, let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, we have 5 stories tonight, and I already went through all that. So, let's see. Among those stories include, I guess, the uncovering of an interview that was possibly done with Frederick Wortham, who was known, who was the guy who wrote "Seduction of the Innocent." Um, Now, in the past, I've noted that among his accusations against comic books include that Superman was a fascist, but apparently in this interview he actually compared Superman to Nazism. So we'll get into that. One of the actors from the Book of Boba Fett, Tamora Morrison, confirms the name of the slave ship that I guess his character is on. Let's see. So there's a rumor now going around that the Joker will make his appearance in the, um, and I believe it's the Netflix Batman spinoff Gotham PD. Also, Crunchyroll has some announcements on what's coming up this winter. And then let's see. And then we'll also get into some a little, I guess, profile piece that somebody did about unusual anime topics that actually work. That last article is the article that's on RJ's site. So without any further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started? And hopefully people will come in soon here. Alrighty then. So, and as always, of course, feel if you do have if you find that you want to add to a conversation here about what we're reading, feel free to do so. So, anyways, here we go. All right, so seduction of the innocent author and critic of the comic book art form, Frederick Wortham, compares Superman to Nazism in rare interview. Now, Frederick Wortham was a psychiatrist who came. The book that they mentioned, their Seduction of the Innocent, came out in 1954. He started his research on apparently on how comic books contributed to delinquency as far back as 1948. So as you guys can tell, that's like 70 years ago or so, around there. Let's see. Um, of course, he was very critical of comics as a whole. A lot of it was backed by parents who were not too thrilled with some of the violence and gore of the horror and crime noir stories, but also he had a particular thing about going after superheroes. Now, some of these were kind of true, but of course, he accused the Superman writers of being. He accused Superman of being a fascist. He accused Batman and Robin being involved in a gay relationship, and then there was the whole bondage fetishism in Wonder Woman. But of course, that we all know is actually true. Um, so let's get into this then. Let's see. Anything new? No, not as of yet. All right. All right. So, article written by J.B. Augustine, published earlier today. So, a 1981 documentary special by BBC4's series The Arena called Superman. The comic strip hero shows the comic strip hero shows the Man of Steel's creator, Jerry Siegel, saying unequivocally that truth, justice, and the American way, quote unquote, is the perfect motto for his character because he stands for the oppressed instead of ruling over them. Now, we saw this article a few days ago. This is, of course, this is all linked to the recent announcement by DC that they were dropping the American way in exchange for a better tomorrow. It's caused, of course, a lot of controversy. We know that colorist Gabe El Taib had chosen to, walk away, quit over that. So, anyways, going on here, this should put a lot of the doubt and dispute of what Superman accurately represents to rest, which is a bigger issue today And in the 80s or the 40s, thanks to the alteration of his iconic phrase to a better tomorrow. So I think what he's saying there, obviously, is that yes, Siegel had basically said that the American way is representing the common man, you know, that are wanting to rule over. However, a move that one can only conclude was in the name of quote unquote fairness and quote unquote equal time. The BBC filmmakers sought a differing perspective on the essence of Superman and his values from someone whose name is one of the most controversial in comics history. Superman 3. Of course, this picture is that's Christopher Reeve right there from 1983, Superman 3. The person was Dr. Frederick Wertham, German psychiatrist and author of the book Seduction of the Innocent. So he was a German psychiatrist, and as I said, he actually started his research into this, in 1948, which is of course 3 years after the end of World War II, which also, which I don't know if anybody had stopped to think about this at all, but it just kind of crossed my mind just now that maybe this guy's got bias against anything American, you know. But let's see what he has to say. Whose crusade cast a white hot incendiary spotlight on the industry in the 1950s and brought hearings before Congress to stir up misconceptions of the effects comic books have on youth. Now, of course, what they're getting at here, I mean, it's not, of course, back then it was comic books. In the late 80s, early 90s, it was video games. It was basically the tired argument we've all heard over and over again that some of these media contribute to violent and antisocial behavior in kids. That's a general argument there that they've been. Let's see. So decades later, when it pertained to Superman in the height of his popularity, Wortham confessed he didn't believe the character stood for truth or justice or anything American. Instead, he thought the iconic first superhero didn't stray far from the archetype of Friedrich Nietzsche's Übermensch, an ideal that fueled the Third Reich. Übermensch is, I think, basically, I think in it's the Übermensch is. If you translate Übermensch from German to English, I think it literally translates as overman, like a man who is over you, basically. Um, and of course, DC did introduce a character named Ubermensch in the comics when they debuted the supervillain team. I don't know if you want to call them a supervillain team or called the Aryan Nation. You know, who you would argue might be kind of the Nazi version of the Justice League of America. Yeah, Ubermensch, who was basically their Superman. You had Fledimus, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but he had basically a Batman Robin duo in which their names actually translated to Horned Owl and Bat. So, so continuing on here, as Arena's narrator says, Nietzsche believed in a man that could rise above all things through sheer force of moral will. And Wortham, in turn, believed Superman truly lived up to this idea. Not necessarily, because even in his early days, he wasn't completely super. He didn't start flying till later Um, he didn't like, for example, start flying until later. He could leap. So, um, quote: Superman is the direct translation of Ubermensch. It's one of Wortham end quote. Well, it's one of the translations. I've seen them say that. I think a more literal translation is Overman, but that's another day. That's another discussion for another day. Wortham said of the name's roots, quote, Superman itself is a symbol of force, power, and violence. Um, that is what it represents, and it is of enormous influence. One cannot possibly exaggerate on the youth. Well, it is true that Superman is the epitome. Is You might argue that Superman is the epitome of physical peak, peak. Um, Hence, why his arch enemies in the early days were the Ultra Humanite, you know, and then later Luthor, kind of giving the idea of the brain versus brawn angle. Um, Not only of this country, but of the youth of many other countries, you see, especially Germany, unquote. Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right, nothing new there. Let's see. Just trying to think if there's anything. Um, Let me see. But what? Well, I think part of the problem too is what Wortham missed is, even though he could, yes, Superman could literally, if he really wanted to, could literally he could force his will on the whole world and literally take over. And we've seen a number of storylines, comics, television, where we've seen that happen. You look at the DCAU storyline, A Better World from Justice League, right? Um, and it was a major plot point throughout the Cadmus arc in Justice League Unlimited, the idea of Superman being tempted to incinerate Luthor. Okay. Um, and of course, we've seen many incarnate. Well, of course, the Better World story featured a pastiche to the Crime Syndicate of America. Super Friends had an episode where Superman somehow got thrown into, like, basically, even though they didn't call them the Crime Syndicate of America there, they were still called the Super Friends on that episode. But where, like, if you remember that episode, that was where, like, basically everybody wore darker versions of their iconic uniforms. You had Aquaman, who had the eye patch. You know, it just kind of looked like even their costumes were like darker. Superman's Superman's costume, and that was black and red as opposed to blue and red. And then Batman wore almost an all red costume. So, and of course, the Crime Syndicate of America itself in the comics. So, yes, we've seen that idea um, in there. All right, so I may have gone on a little long there, but Wortham was of the opinion that the war and genocides committed by Germans during the 30s and 40s were a result of being, quote, imbued with Superman's spirit. Uh, yeah, I doubt that. First off, Superman didn't even first off, I don't even think Superman didn't debut until like the middle of 1938. Okay, I don't even think they would have got if they got Superman comics during that time period. It would they would have not gotten them probably until into the early 40s. So at least and he made no distinction between the Nazi Ubermensch idealism and the comic book character. Yeah. I mean, I would almost have to argue here that maybe Wortham was anti-Superman because maybe he was anti-American. Some respect. I mean, his thought process seems very similar to some of these SJWs we're seeing. You know, and yes, it is possible that for SJWs to we've seen. If you guys remember, a while back, I read a story called Sunny Darling where we actually saw Karen in the story, even though it was back in the 1930s. So, when we've done anyways, moving along here. He also stated Superman's powers um, placing him above, quote, the democratic law, the real law, unquote, and the laws of physics teaches young people that they have no responsibility and must appeal to a lone individual who can take care of everything. That's not really true either. We've seen in several cases. In fact, we talked quite a bit about it. Where Superman, despite his powers, does everything he can to help people and doesn't look to rule over them. You know, he's not some overlord that they want you to that. But anyways, the irony is, and the narrator points it out, as we all would, Nietzsche's concept would be appropriated by two Jewish storytellers in Cleveland once it gave way to Hitler. The irony is that the narrator points it out, as we all would. Nietzsche's concept would be appropriated by two Jewish storytellers from Cleveland once it gave way to Hitler. All right, I don't understand that last part, but basically, I think the point being is, yeah, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were Jewish kids who, I don't know if they directly were ever in Germany during the time, but maybe their parents, probably even most likely their grandparents were probably in Nazi Germany being victims of Nazism. So, but let's see if they say how Wortham responded to that. See if, when the narrator points out to him that it was actually two Jewish kids who actually created Superman. Okay, unassuaged, Wortham finds another fault with Superman and something else he represents: superstition. Quote, Superman represents superstition. The superstition that a grown man can fly. Well, it is a comic book, dude. Um, okay. And we're talking about also a guy who's from another planet, and when you look at it even from a scientific, the planet he probably came from had more gravity than Earth does. Now, mind you, okay, mind you, that, and I pointed this out when we first read the first Superman story back in Action Comics #1 when we went over his superpowers and stuff. Um, Initially, Superman couldn't fly. Originally, the way Siegel and Schuster wrote him, he couldn't fly. He was leaping an eighth of a mile. And again, from a scientific point of view, you could argue that because he came from another planet, a planet that may have had heavier gravity than Earth does, he was able to leap an eighth of a mile. But it wasn't Siegel and Schuster who initially brought in the idea of him flying. Okay. Now, granted, you could argue that because he leaped an eighth of a mile, it made it appear as if he would fly, and that's a theme archetype that's been used in a number of different media. One thing that comes to mind right now is um, the poke. They've shown on Pokemon on a few occasions where the idea that you would normally think that Doduo and Dodrio, who are both based on an ostrich, which is which is a bird that doesn't fly in the real world. That even though these Pokemon and the ostrich in the real world, um, even though these creatures cannot fly, at least in the sense that we're thinking of, like they have wings and they're flapping their wings or gliding on the air. Sometimes they run fast enough to where it seems like they're flying, gives the illusion that they're flying. So, anyways, continuing on here, he said, adding he's examined quote unquote countless boys who jumped from a height trying to fly in an imitation of Superman that led to injuries. Yeah, kids do that. Kids do that. Of course, kids do that. Okay? They probably were even doing it before you'd have kids, even long before Superman was being published, you'd have kids jumping out of trees in like the old 1800s trying to do the same thing because they're kids, you know. Uh, Quote, so here you have violence, superstition, complete distrust in the community, law, and complete trust in a strong individual who can do things which cannot be done, unquote, Wortham declared. Again, it's a comic book. It's fantasy. You know, um, and again, it's also in another realm of Earth where maybe the physics are a little bit different. Hello, Jason. Welcome to the stream. As always, if you can like and share the stream, that'd be appreciated. Help bring in more friendly people. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the content here. Let's see now. So, anyways, we're right now just going over a story about an interview that a German psychiatrist Frederick Wortham did as part of BBC's Superman analyzing Superman and his, back from back in 1981, about 40 years ago. 40. There you go. But what of Superman standing for the American way? Wortham, rejecting fantasy and impossible feats as superstition like he does, found this widely embraced maxim of the Big Blue Boy Scout and icon ridiculous. Of course he probably did. First and foremost, Wortham balks that Superman has to be real to stand for something. And next, he answers, It is clear to him Superman doesn't stand for the American way because, quote, he flies through the air and comes in at the last moment, unquote. This wouldn't help someone being, quote, raped, killed, and mutilated, unquote. He added, quote, they need a policeman on the beat, unquote. I would have to kind of disagree with that because what apparently what Dr. Wortham's forgotten is that Superman has super senses. He has super hearing, which he could hear he could hear a woman scream if she was being raped. She could hear her heartbeat race from experiencing the trauma. He could see from miles away that that something was going on. So at this point, Wortham strangely winds up with the last word. Quote, to say Superman stands for the right and stands for the good, that may have been in the beginning. But at this moment, Superman stands for violence, unquote, he said. Interestingly, Frederick Wortham was born in Nuremberg, Germany, and died in 1981, shortly after the documentary was made. Many would find it rather cold or rather odd. He would get airtime on a program that also featured Superman's creators, no matter what he brings to the conversation. His writings and actions brought scandal to a modern American art form and made it harder for the people in it to make a living when he himself obviously never read a comic book. And I think that point's very interesting. But what I would also like to kind of point out too here's another aspect of this too. So this was a documentary done by BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, which meant it aired over in Britain. Okay. Now, granted, I do get the idea that okay, you can have you can't have you can have Superman comics showing up there as well, through whatever distribution deals that DC may have had at the time. Just came back from work, okay? Um, you know, so and I get that. I get that yes, some of the British kids could have been reading this too, but it's kind of interesting how this is a British this is a British documentary on American culture. And you got the two Jewish kids who, well, by this time they were obviously adults. Um, but the two Jewish kids who were who created the comic, and a guy who basically, in some people's minds, may have seemed to go on a may have gone on a quest to to basically end the comic industry. Now, mind you, he was born in Nuremberg, Germany. Nuremberg is where they held what were known as the Nuremberg trials. That was where they held the trials for like all the Nazi criminals. Just another little tidbit there, and then let me also find one more little tidbit real quick to get exact information here. So they just said that he died shortly after the documentary in 1981. He was born. So let's see just how old he was. How old he was at the time. Um, so he was born March 20th, 1885, and died November 18th, 1981. or no, 1895. Sorry. So that would have meant he would have been 86 years old at that point in time when he passed. He would have been 86 years old when he did that interview. You know, that's another thing too. He was pretty old too. So, I mean, ah. Anyways, let's continue and see let's see how this article might. All right. Reflecting on how that could have happened, none other than Stan Lee put it best in 2003, explaining to History Channel, Wortham was was a good huckster with doctor in his name, and that made people pay attention. So, and then I get, hmm, and I guess that here, I guess there's a clip here from YouTube if you want to go find it. It says comic book superheroes unmasked. Um, Or basically, I guess, Stan Lee called him a huckster. So, anyways, so there's the end of that article. There's the end of that article. The first article there. Um, see, so get ready to move on to the next one here. And of course, I do actually hope people, if people miss the live stream here, I do hope they'll go back and watch this over again because this particular article I think is very interesting. I think a lot of people would get into it a bit, you know, get some stuff out of it. So, anyways, moving along to the next article. Next article here. The book of Boba Fett actor Tamora Morrison confirms name change for his iconic Slave One starship. Article by John F. Trent, published earlier today. All right, so let's see that. All right. All right. So anyways, as we continue on here. The book of Boba Fett actor Tamora Morrison, who previously played Jango Fett in Star Wars Attack of the Clones, confirmed that the name of his iconic Slave One starship has been changed. Left. All right, something's goofy about that picture because I can only see one person there. I can't really see another, but they're saying that Ming Na Wen, who I guess in the film played Fennec Shand, and the guy who plays Boba Fett are in it, but from the book of Boba Fett. So, anyways, while promoting the show in an interview with the Wrap, alongside Fennec Shand actress Ming Na Wen. Now, some of you might remember Ming Na Wen from um, from a role on ER as Dr. Deb Chen. Um, they were asked, "quote Boba Fett's ship has been stripped of its name. So I was wondering, have you guys given any thought to what we could call Boba Fett's ship now?" Yes, this must be from that e-commerce they talked about. Morrison answered, "quote I think we call it the fire spray. I think I've mentioned it in a couple of episodes." Unquote. I think fire spray. It is a gunship now. That's what we're calling it. We're calling it fire spray gunship. Yes, he added. Okay, so now there they are. But so Ming Na Wen there is the girl on the right there, and Tamora Morrison is on the left. Back in June, it appeared Disney and Lucasfilm were removing the iconic title of Slave One from the ship when Lego packaging featuring the ship from The Mandalorian described the ship as Boba Fett's starship instead of Slave One. Wonder why that would be. Not only did the packaging not describe the ship as Slave One, but Lego Star Wars design director Jens Kronwald Fredrickson and Lego Star Wars lead designer Michael Stockwell explained that an order had come down to no longer use the name Slave One. Stockwell told Jedi News, quote, "We're not calling it Slave One anymore. This is Boba Fett's starship," unquote. When asked why the name was changed, Fredrickson said, quote, "Everybody is it's probably not something which has been announced publicly, but it is just something that Disney doesn't want to use anymore," unquote. I could probably guess. I think most of us can probably guess why it's another SJW move. Following this information, a press release promoting Marvel Comics Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters event saw the ship called Firespray. The ship was listed among 5 other bounty hunters and their ships as part of a variant cover initiative that arrived in September. The 6 ships and their bounty hunters um, included Bosk and the Hound's Tooth, Boba Fett, and Firespray, IG-88 and IG-2000, Zuckuss and the Mist Hunter, Valance Bailert and Broken Wing, and Danger and the Punishing One. In November, officially licensed merchandise from her universe shows Boba Fett's ship, described as Firespray. Boba Fett Fan Club brought the merchandise to our attention in a tweet that reads, quote, "It was only a matter of time and we saw the signs. Firespray merch is now a thing, new official items from her universe." While they would showcase 2 shirts in their tweet, a visit to the Her Universe website also saw a 3rd shirt calling Slave One as Firespray. The Boba Fett fan club also reported there are other pieces of merchandise um, describing Boba Fett Slave One as Firespray or Boba Fett's Starfighter or Starship. They include the NPC Boba Fett Starfighter. Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar also describes Boba Fett's Slave One as Boba Fett Starship. The official description for the set states, quote, "The 11 mini-build vehicles include the Razor Crest Riot Mars Starfighter, Imperial Troop Transport, X-Wing, TIE Fighter, um, Imperial Light Cruiser, Boba Fett Starship, and Child's Hoverpram." Let's see. Yeah, I hope everybody's still enjoying the content here. Let's see. The Star Wars Mandalorian Boba Fett Starfighter and Imperial Light Cruiser 3D collectible calls the ship Boba Fett Starfighter, not Slave One. Finally, D'Agostini's Star Wars ships and vehicles describe Slave One as Gaza Estelar de Boba Fett. Guess that might be the Spanish or Italian version of the packaging, I guess. It also describes it as Boba Fett's Fire Spray 31. An officially licensed die-cast vehicle for Star Wars, the Book of Boba Fett, that is available on Shop Disney, also describes the ship as Boba Fett's starship. There is also a Boba Fett Starfighter coin that is available through the New Zealand Mint. The name Fire Spray might be familiar to Star Wars fans, as Slave One is a Fire Spray 31 class patrol and attack craft. While all of the merchandise no longer describes the ship as Slave One, the Star Wars data bank still describes the ship as its original name. However, if you look at the URL, it does say Boba Fett's starship. What do you make of the official name change of the ship within the book of? Well, I think it's an SJW move. I think it's basically a move that they're doing because, um, because they don't want to have anything to. Basically, I think what it boils down to is they don't want to be associated with the word slave or slavery or any form of that word. I think that's what it comes down to right there. I think the reason they changed the name of the ship is because they don't want to be associated with that word or any form of it. So, anyways, um, now of course it's time to move on to the next story that we were looking up here. This would be more of a cartoon story here. And here's a one that we're going to look at here. This is kind of a cartoon based story here. Yeah, that kind of. Oh yeah, I think this scene is actually from the new Batman Adventures. I think it was from the episode Mad Love, where Harley Quinn as Dr. Harleen Quinzel and the Joker first met. So here we go. So rumor: the Joker will appear in HBO Max, the Batman spinoff, Gotham PD. Article written by J.B. Augustine. Now, mind you, this is a rumor, I guess. So take it for what it's worth. Article published earlier today. So wherever there is a Batman, Joker is sure to follow, whether called for or not. And there's the essence of a new rumor that concerns HBO Max's prequel to The Batman, that'll explore the Gotham police force. Dark Knight. Whoa, look at that. Cosmic Book News is reporting a post on the Reddit forum Superhero Hype claims the Clown Prince of Crime the Clown Prince of Crime is going to appear on the series, and the author offered details. Again, if you guys have anything you'd like to add to the conversation, you know, on any of the things we've talked about tonight here, feel free to do so. And if you haven't already, if you could like and share the stream, See if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Anyways, back to article here. Let's see. The post was also shared on the Reddit DCEU leaks page with screenshots of tweets by the Batman Central as evidence. Let's hear what they're talking about there. The first claim is that the Gotham PD series will be based on Frank Miller's Tale Year 1 and two stories by Ed Brubaker, quote, The Man Who Laughs and Gotham Central. Okay. I thought there was a quote there, but I guess there wasn't. Joker is reported as, quote, the main antagonist, unquote, and his origin will be told through the eyes of the police and Batman, who is said to have a much bigger part to play than first thought. Oh, don't tell me they're gonna now try to like damage Batman's reputation by claiming that he intentionally threw Jack Napier into the vat. Don't tell me these guys. That's what these. They're that. Don't tell me that's where these guys are going with that. The tip states that there is someone Batman knows who is horribly scarred that's sitting in Arkham, and though this could be any number of his foes, the conclusion is they are talking about the Joker. Two-Face would be the primary suspect to most, as Harvey Dent fits the quote unquote scarred description, um, and was one of the important rogues in Gotham Central. He, however, is being ruled out by the leaker because it's also said Matt Reeves has plans for the coin flipping villain in the Batman sequel. While Eternals actor Barry Cohen is rumored to be playing Joker in Reeves' pocket of the DCEU, um, his name isn't mentioned. Star of Crawl and the Maze runner Kaya Scodelario um, is, on the other hand, even though her role, if there really is one, remains a mystery. She could play Renee Montoya, who was another major part of Gotham Central, or possibly even Harley Quinn, since Joker is involved, which would fit with another rumor that Margot Robbie is being phased out of DC movies. The latter case might mean we are in store for a retelling of Harley's transformation from simple psychiatrist Harleen Quinzel into Joker's hench girl. Keep in mind that that's just a theory, and this leaked information is only a rumor for right now. We won't know how know much more than hearsay until the so-called Gotham PD prequel show reaches a production and streaming premiere date. Unless, of course, the producers make an official announcement sometime before that premiere date, obviously. What do you make of these claims? Do you find them encouraging for the Batman's continuation on HBO Max? Answer below. Um, let's see. my my issue with this, of course, as I said, is I worry that the producers here might be trying to pull an SJW move and now are trying to target Batman's reputation, in this case, by trying to make it seem like he may have somehow intentionally caused the Joker to become the Joker. You know, based on them saying that apparently Batman's going to have a bigger role in it in Joker's origin than originally conceived. For those of you who may not, so this, as the story goes, in the comics and originally in the comics, the Joker, of course, became a Joker when became the Joker when he fell into a vat of acid after Batman had been trying to capture him. He was kind of a mafia man, basically a made man, as it were. And then Batman chased him to the Ace Chemical plant. Joker accidentally fell in, and therefore we got the Joker. But when they were saying here that Batman may have more of a role this time than previously conceived, I worry that okay, they've been a lot of these older iconic heroes. Look at what they've been doing to them, right? Robin, Superman, you know. Look at what they're really trying to do to these longtime iconic heroes. You kind of have to wonder if there wasn't a point, where maybe there were whispers behind the doors or whatever that they were planning on doing something like this to Batman as well, where they're basically going to try to tarnish Bruce. They were trying to like weed Bruce Wayne out of it. They were trying to tarnish his, they would try to tarnish his reputation, make him seem like maybe he's not as good. I mean, look what they tried to do with that one stupid comic, you know, where they actually, you know, that woke Batman comic, if you guys remember, where Bruce is actually, his mom was of Chinese, it's like that kind of thing. Anyways, so yeah, so that's basically what I worry. This could be a signal that it may be a SJW move that they're trying to hurt Batman's reputation, or trying to basically get rid of Bruce Wayne, trying to just eradicate his existence from the DCU. So, anyways, and we're just past the hour mark now, and we've hit 3 of the 5 stories. So I think we're making some good time here. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next story here. And we're going to, of course, finish off the main stories with a couple of anime related stories here. With that, and I think people came in and gave me some more likes here. If you can like and share the stream, and hopefully, again, on this particular one, I do hope that if for whatever reason you can't stick around for the live stream, you'll come back and watch it later, especially the first article there, because again, I think a lot of comic book fans might find you know what Frederick Worthen had to say interesting, if not aggravating, because of um, because of it. But anyways, um, moving on to the next story here. All right, then. So, Crunchyroll announces 6 titles for its anime dub slate. Article by John F. Trent, published earlier today. Crunchyroll announced 6 titles for its upcoming winter anime dub slate. So basically what they're meaning here is during this winter season of premieres, I guess Crunchyroll will be adding 6 new shows here, is what they're basically saying. Those 6 titles are In the Land of Leedale, Love of Kill, Orient, Platinum End, The Strongest Sage with the Weakest Crest, and My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom X. Now, the one My Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom X, I think is a sequel to My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. Crunchyroll details, quote, these new dubbed anime series will be available in English, Spanish, Portuguese. So likely it could be this might be the Funimation crew, the Dallas crew, dubbing this, because I know Crunchyroll is associated with Funimation. Um, Portuguese, French, and German worldwide outside of Asia. Quote, however, My Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom X, will only be dubbed in English. Official descriptions and key art for each of these titles can be seen below. In the Land of Leedale. And then almost gives you an impression it might be a fantasy type anime. You get a little sword and sorcery action there, fairies and all that. Due to a terrible accident, Kaina Kagami is forced to live on life support in order to survive. The only way for her to be free is within the VR. Okay, so VRMMORPG Leedale. Now, in case you don't know what that long set of initials means, I would guess it means virtual reality multimedia online role playing game. All right, so one day her life support stops functioning and Kana loses her life. But when she wakes up, she finds herself in the world of Leedale 200 years in the future. She is now the half elf Kana, who possesses lost skills and opening statuses and becomes or operational statuses and becomes closer to the other inhabitants of this world. But among those inhabitants happen to be the quote unquote children she made in character creation. That's interesting. I mean, it sounds some aspects sound similar to what they did in Sword Art Online, you know, because they did have like Kirito and Asuka in there, kind of have a daughter as well. Anyways, moving on. Love of Kill. This sounds possibly like an assassin's love story here. Let's take a look at here. Two assassins face off at a certain quote unquote workplace. The cool bounty hunter, Chateau, and the mysterious and powerful Rong Ha. Chateau and Rong Ha become enemies after this fight. At least they should have. But for some reason, Rong Ha takes a liking to Chateau and begins following her around. Little by little, Chateau um, develops a cooperative partnership with Rong Ha, which gets her caught up in the struggle against the organization hunting him down. Furthermore, that battle is related to her past as well. Why did Rong Ha approach Chateau? What is Chateau's secret past? Interesting. Okay, maybe not quite an assassin's love story, but still an interesting story to say the least. Orient. During the Warring States era, the feuding generals were suddenly struck down one after another by the demonic Kishin. In the 150 years since, groups of individuals have continued to resist Kishin control. Um, Kishin control. They are called Bushi bands. Bushi as in Bushido, Code of the Samurai. When they were young, Musashi and Kojiro would hear tales about Bushi from Kojiro's father. Um, and the two of them dream to form the strongest Bushi band. One day, as Musashi struggles with his choices, he witnesses human being humans being torn apart by Oni. Oni is I believe, the Japanese word for demon. Um, Forced to face the truth, Musashi rises up against the powerful Oni and make his dream with Kojiro come true. Platinum End. Look at the wings there. Wonder. Well, let's see how this one pans out here. Quote: "I will give you the hope to live." Unquote. Kakahashi Mirai lost his parents in an accident and lived in misery with the relatives who took him in. Having lost hope in everything, he jumped off the roof of a building on the day of his middle school graduation. But then he met an angel. Ow! Ah, the strongest sage with the weakest crest. After a powerful sage is reincarnated into another world, they aim to show the new world that they are strongest once again. And of course, I hope everybody's enjoying the content. And if you guys, have anything you'd like to add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to comment as well. All right. My next life as a villainess, all routes lead to doom. X. There's a nice ensemble shot there. This OVA chronicles a new chapter of Katarina class comedic adventures in love. Will be dubbed in English only. All right. Along with these six titles, Crunchyroll also announced that they will be providing international dubs for That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Season 2, Haikyuu, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid SOVA, and The Ancient Magus Bride, The Boy from the West, and The Night of the Blue Storm. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Season 2, will be dubbed in Spanish, Portuguese, French, and German. Haikyuu Seasons 1 and 2 will be dubbed in Portuguese and Spanish. I can already tell you that there already are dubs of high, unless these are going to be newer dubs that Funimation is doing, because Sentai actually, I think, did like up to season 3 at least of dubs for Haikyuu. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid SOVA will be dubbed in Spanish, Portuguese, French, and German. Finally, The Ancient Magus Bride, The Boy from the West, and the Night of the Blue Storm will be dubbed in Spanish, Portuguese, and English. And there's Haikyuu right there. It's a volleyball anime. It's actually got a pretty good soundtrack. You know, you know, even if you're not into volleyball, it's still a good sports story. It's still a good sports story to kind of key in on. So, do you plan on checking out any of Crunchyroll's winner? Well, I don't have Crunchyroll, so that should answer that. Ah, come on. Okay. All right. Is everybody still here? Because I don't know. My computer just seemed to freeze up a bit there. So I don't know if anything's going on or not. You guys can still see and hear me, right? All right, while I'm waiting for a response to that. Uh, I can still hear you, Mike. Okay. All right. Yeah, because my computer seemed to freeze up a bit there. So that's why I was wondering, Woody. Okay. Anyways, let's see. Let's get to the final article of the evening here. Already at an hour 16, so I think we are making good time. By the time finished with everything, we should probably be close to the hour and a half mark. Um, all right, so let's see here. All right, then. So now that everything's back up here, let's go ahead and get to this. Unusual anime topics that actually work. Article by Raven Owiener, and that's just how I'm pronouncing it. That's what it looks like to me. It was published earlier today at 7:30. So I'm guessing it was published at 7:37 this morning, which I'm thinking might be my time, depending upon. I don't know how that all. Anyways, here we go. According to a recent study from 2020, over 100 million households across the world chose to watch at least one anime on Netflix, showing a growth of 50% over just 1 year. Whilst anime may have been a niche that only weebs and otakus watched just a few years back, it's now a huge medium that attracts people from all over the world. The term anime is often one that is met with either fondness or repulsion due to the variety of content that comes from the genre. Just like any sort of medium, there are mind blowing works that just completely leave you spellbound, and others that are just tasteless and tacky. Anime has the beauty of being able to create literally anything as long as it's from the creator's imagination. Throughout the years, there have been animes that have been just about anything, which include usual topics such as black notebooks that have the power to kill, a la Death Note, an idol group made up of statues. Um, idol group made up of statues. Okay, I don't remember what that one would be. Or even a group of balls that can grant any wish you want, a la Dragon Ball. Let's see. There's no denying that some of these bizarre ideas do not work or are just complete train wrecks. But then there's a small few crazy ideas that are just pure brilliance. And that's exactly what this article is about. Within the world of anime, there are no boundaries or restrictions on what can be explored, and here are some of the most abnormal topics that actually work. Contrary to what a lot of the Twidiots and SJW people seem to want to think. Statement that Raven just made there is a direct contradiction to what a lot of Twidiots would say. Jesus and Buddha as BFFs. And for those of you who might not know, that BFF stands for best friends forever in modern lingo. A trope that anime tends to do brilliantly with is a slice of life genre that just explores mundane life but makes it more fascinating by exploring the characters in depth. That's true. That is kind of true. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that now. Thinking back to the number of harem animes I've watched. Um, so there are other comedic moments mixed in to make it lighthearted. Shows like Toradora and Anohana, the flower we saw that day, showcase this in the best possible way by keeping it simple and funny with being an emotional roller coaster at times. And of course, it also helps. It also helps that they have some pretty strong, themes in terms of music. Opening themes and all that. However, this list isn't about the conventional slice of life animes, as Saint Young Man is the furthest thing from it. Have you ever wondered what would happen if Jesus Christ and Buddha came to Earth on a vacation with Saint Young Men? You find exactly how this scenario would go as they try to keep low key whilst exploring modern Japanese society. One day, Jesus Christ and Buddha decide to become roommates in Tokyo in order to explore Japan and have a vacation from their duties as religious figures. Throughout the show and the source manga, the two figures are shown sightseeing, drinking beer. Oh boy. I could see a lot of Christians having an issue with that. Well, actually, no, they shouldn't because Jesus did drink wine, so I guess they wouldn't have an issue with that. I think Jesus did drink wine in the Bible, and even playing video games. Of course, Jesus retains his traits such as loving all, and Buddha is calm, but their traits are also used for gags in the form of Buddha shining when excited, okay, and Jesus creating wine from public bath. Oh God. You're taking a bath and all of a sudden you start smelling the grapes. Oh boy. Religion can be a tricky thing to cover, but this one does it tastefully and stays faithful to the figures whilst adding an element of humor to it all. The premise of this show is utterly bonkers, but it strangely works to create something that is unmissable. Well, for gambling, and I'm guessing I think I've probably seen the one they're about to talk about here. I think if I'm right, yeah, I just saw the Kakeguru. Kakeguru is the name of that series. School for Gambling. It's a little more than just that. But you do have some very interesting characters, if not tad disturbed. All right, so let's get into this part. School for Gambling. When you think of high schools in anime, you think of cute characters falling in love, and the biggest drama happens to be relationships. Yeah, also, I can think of a few harems that develop out of that too. Well, that definitely is not the case in Gurui, which is all about a prestige school that determines the student's status and grades on their gambling abilities. Think about this for a sec, guys. Getting to go to a high school where you try to graduate by trying to master things like poker, blackjack, craps, roulette reels, slot machines. Actually, it sounds like it's a high school that you'd find maybe in Vegas or Atlantic City, right? Anybody want to comment on that part? uh Anybody here would anybody here like to go to a high school of a gambling high school where you could actually try to graduate by trying to be the best gambler in the house? Unsurprisingly, gambling in anime is a complicated topic to cover, with some shows delivering fully fledged stories showing the highs and lows of gambling. And of course, Kakagurui does that a little bit too, whilst others have simply shown a one dimensional story with no charm or character. Thankfully, Kakagurui falls into the first category and is arguably one of the best gambling animes of all time. Yeah, I would say it probably is. You could argue it is the greatest one because it's the most notable. I think most people they do think of gambling animes. I'm sure a lot of people would probably think if they've seen the anime, Kakagurui would be the one that would come to mind. As previously mentioned, the show is about an elite school that has its entire order shattered by a new student named Yumeko Jabami. During the run of the series, you see that Yumeko is a gambling prodigy and gambles more for the thrill of it than just wealth and acclaim. There's so much suspense throughout each episode, and you can't help but be on the edge of your seat. It's honestly surprising to see the length people will go to in order to remain at the top of the social chain and how they react to being taken down a peg. For a psychological thriller all about gambling, Kakagururi is the anime you need. Now, before I go on to the next article here, I do have to step away from the camera for a moment, guys. Chloe's barking, so I got to go take care of her real quick. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Let's see what you got because I did see there were a couple comments that Woody put down there. Let's see. Trouble with gambling is the house always takes a cut. Um, that always takes the fun out of it for me. But if it were a fair game, sure, um, I'd be in maybe. Well, think about it like this: this is a high school dedicated to gambling, Woody. Um, I don't know if you'd have the whole aspect of the house taken the share because, in fact, is in Japan, as is many the case, um, the students do actually have a say in how the school is run too. So, um, plus this is a prestigious school too. So let's not forget that. I've never been any good at gambling. My friends tell me my face reads like a book with when I'm trying to yeah, well then you would probably Woody, you would probably um let me see. Yeah. You probably would not do too well in Kakakuri then, Woody, because those who don't do well in gambling, it's funny. If you lose a significant amount of money, you at some point become like one of the more successful people's pets. I'll tell you that much right now. Anyways, Chloe makes noise. Yep. All right. Let's see. Well, alien. Let's see. Alien Xenomorph. What's this now? Thoughts on Micah Curtis? Why is Micah Curtis trashing you? Well, I wasn't aware that it was. I don't. I wouldn't imagine why he would. I actually am sub to his channel. Granted, I don't watch a lot of his stuff late, as particularly of late, but I don't have any issue with him. I would, and I don't see where he'd have an issue with me. But Micah Curtis is telling people to flag your stream on Twitter. I'll have to check that out. Um, Going hard on you, right? Well, I'll have to find out why that is. Hmm. Well, I'll have to look into that, Alien. Don't know what more to say about that. But anyways, right now there's not really anything I can really do about that right now. I'll deal with that a little while here. But anyways, let's continue on with this stream. Anyways, getting back to this article here. Hook, line, and sinker. Everyone loves a good sports drama, and anime is no different. Hits such as Haikyuu and Kuroko's Basketball have shown how important the book bonds of teamwork can be in sport, and how hard work is more valuable than winning. Besides, who doesn't love a good underdog story that shows the growth of beloved characters? Therefore, it's no surprise as to why sports anime are so popular. Um, let's see. This would probably explain why an anime about a group of boys fishing is actually pretty entertaining. Suratama tells a story of a socially inept student named Yuki who moves to a seaside town and is forced into fishing by his classmate Haru. Now, fishing doesn't initially come across as anime material, which I can understand why fishing is. It is an outdoor sport. It's just it's not a very like active. I guess the most action you usually get is if you happen to get a fish or get a nibble, then that's the most exertion you get out of it usually. But it's actually an endearing anime that is full of life lessons. Alongside that, you have a multitude of characters that are completely unique, and there's a plot twist that you never see coming. Of course, the show covers fishing in extensive detail, such as bait and gear, but the focus is on friendship and growing up as a kid. Yeah, it does sound like a pretty good anime. Um, there, on top of the intriguing premise, the animation and voice acting in both the dubbed and subbed are absolutely incredible. If you love whimsical shows mixed with laughs, self discovery, and fishing, then be sure to check out Suritama. Anthropomorphic soda cans. Wow, that's that sounds interesting. Well, I think they kind of did that with well, maybe not the soda can aspect of it, but you have seen like if you've ever seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I'd have to choose a different. Yeah, who is Micah Curtis? Um, Micah Curtis is a YouTuber. He's also got a comic book coming out. Um, actually had a comic book out. I know Tugs talked about him a bit. Um, let's see. Edgewood, I think, is the name of his comic. Um, that's who Alien Xenomorph here is talking about. He just got Team YouTube to reply to his tweet. Micah is telling them you're making fun of LGBT. I've covered some article. I'm not making for okay. Now I have a sneaking suspicion this is somebody else. All right. This is definitely I think this is all right. I don't know what your game is, Alien, okay? I doubt I've seen Micah's videos, okay? I doubt very seriously if he'd be reporting me or anybody for that matter for making fun of LGBT or what could even be remotely perceived as me making fun of LGBT. Well, I will look into it, but at least based on what you're telling him, what I've seen myself from his content and from him, that sounds like total BS. It sounds like somebody here is trying to stir the pot. So, and I don't know if your issues with me or with him, but I guess we'll wait and see. Let's see. Not again. Computer's freezing again here, apparently. And it's telling me that the connection is. Oh boy. All right. Think. Still gonna look into that. No, because I'm thinking this guy is. Anyways, sorry for that disturbance. But I guess I will have to look into that at least. But from what I know, Anyways, let's get back to the article here. Anthropomorphic soda cans. If you ever think that your hobby is boring, then you definitely need to watch this anime. Aki Khan follows a 16-year-old male student named Kakaru, who collects juice cans as he's just that cool. Luckily for him, he manages to buy a melon soda can that is actually an Akikin who transforms into a human girl once he infuses the can with carbon dioxide, aka breathes on it. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Imagine you got this soda can with you, and you just breathe on it, and it turns into this girl. That's kind of interesting. I just peeked at that Twitter account. My my account, I don't see anything. Certainly nothing on his. Certainly nothing on his top level Twitter. I don't have Twitter, so I can't actually look at any. Yeah, don't actually look at threads, but there's nothing in any of. Yeah, this could be the big break that finally gets you on the map, Mike. Think of it, hundreds of people in your. Well, if they're here, if they're here to want to watch and learn and enjoy the content, yes. But if they're going, basically, my guess is I have a feeling I know who Alien Xenomorph is, and it's somebody that I think I'm quite familiar with. And they're just, I think, quite honestly, I think they're trying to stir up trouble. I got ones of people, then come handfuls, then dozens, then hundreds. Broly in my hi. Okay. Is this Broly the father or the son? Hi, Broly. I see you there, but is this is I notice how he misspelled Skyver. He ain't he ain't chopped liver. Um, hi, Broly. Just so I know who it is this the son who's using his father's account, or is this the father? Hail, Broly the Mighty. How have you been? I'm the son again. Okay. Well, I've been fine, just doing my thing. I'm glad you're here. If you can help out the channel by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more people in here, that'd be appreciated. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you and your dad had a good holiday. Gonna try to get through. We're already up to, so we basically wasted about, I think, like 10, 15, like we wasted a few minutes here dealing with that other guy. But um, let's get back to this article and finish it up and start close things out here. Let's see. It doesn't even stop there with the craziness, as it turns out that Akikans were created by the government to determine if steel or aluminum cans are the superior choice, meaning the different types of Akikans um, must battle each other to resolve the answer. Oh God, that that's quite comedic. So think about this: you've got steel cans and aluminum cans that, if you breathe on them, essentially come to life. They battle each other to determine which one is superior. That's definitely a cartoon theme right there. That's very interesting. Uh, toy. No, not toy. Broly. Okay, Broly. Woody Broly the Mighty was a guy I met maybe a couple years ago when I went to see Vic at Awesome Collectibles. He's a police officer, and I guess his son here is using his account. He came in once before. Okay, that's why I was asking. This is not Toy Son. This is somebody else altogether. Well, Happy New Year. Things are okay down here in Arkansas. Okay. So just so this is not Toy Son. This is somebody else altogether, Woody. All right. Anyways, getting back to this to this article. Oh, we're getting slowed up here and we're still getting slowed up. All right. So, anyways, with this, with whilst this can be crude at times, with Kakaru and Hidehiko just being utterly awful and offensive, the star of the show has to be the Akikans. The main one is called Melon, after melon soda, and she does not tolerate any of the shenanigans from Kakaru. At times, it feels like it's self aware of the degenerate jokes and plays even more into them. Well, sometimes it just feels incredibly dated. The premise of the soda cans coming to life actually works, and the Akikans um, are the best part of the show. Who would have thought that you could come so invested in the lives of soda cans? The show has pervy moments, but it's never forced nudity or feels too fan service, as the Akikans always fight back against the creep. Akikon is an anime that is a guilty pleasure, stupid jokes that'll either hit the mark or fail spectacularly. All right, so that's the end of the main articles. We kind of Happy New Year to you too, there, Broly son. That takes care of all the main articles here. Um, I'm him. He's son. Okay, his son. Okay. All right now. So, all right. So, anyways, we're coming up on 2 hours here, so I think it's a good time to start wrapping up. Are you guys ready for this day in each history? After this. So, I'll ask this again. Are you guys ready for this day in each history? All right. Well, without any further ado, why don't we today being Thursday, Thursday, January the 13th. Why don't we go ahead and take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history? Let me just one more time go through here, make sure things okay. Right, so here we go. All right, so all right, so All right. So, anyways, it would seem. All right. So, on the first off, we head back 25 years ago today. We head back to 1997 from the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. WCW held its Monday Nitro event. In the main event saw the Giant defeat Hulk Hogan via disqualification. Among some of the other featured matches, let's see. We had Chris Jericho defeat Sergeant Craig Pittman in a minute 7. Had Diamond Dallas Page defeat Mark Starr in 54 seconds. So it was quite a few matches for the night. So on this date, 25 years ago today, WCW um, had held its Monday Nitro event in um, the Superdome. Yeah. So, anyways, so can you guys can hear me, right? Yeah, something's going on with my computer here, so I'm gonna probably have to reboot it afterwards here. But anyways, um, moving on to the next piece of each history here. All right, so on this date in 1999, which was 20, let's see, 23 years ago today, um, the 110th issue of the so volume 3, 110th issue of the third volume of Green Lantern went on sale on this date, 1999, for $1.99 with 32 pages in it. Story titled Golden Years, which featured Jade and Connor Hawke. The story was written by Ron Martz, with penciled by Daryl Banks. Terry Austin did the ink. Christopher P. Elquist or Elkois did the lettering, and coloring was done by Rob Schwager. So on this date in 1999, 23 years ago today, Nietzsche. Okay. The 110th issue of the third volume of Green Lantern went on sale on this date. So, anyways, moving along now to the um, next bit of niche history here. We move ahead to 2007. I'm still ready. All right. On this date in 2007, the Gonzo Studio produced anime Getsu Mento Heiki Mina, which literally translates as Lunar Rabbit Weapon Mina, premiered on Fuji TV. On this date in 2007, which was 15 years ago today, the Gonzo produced anime Getsu Mento Heiki Mina um, premiered on Fuji TV on this date. So, anyways, one last piece of each history to get through to finish things off here. As we end with a passing from five. So on this date, 5 years ago today, Dick Godey, actor. Let's see, American actor, comedian, singer, and caricaturist Dick Godier passed away at the age of 85. Um, for those of us who grew up in the 80s, particularly the mid to late 80s, Dick Godier is probably most famously for providing the voices of Rodimus Prime in the G1 Transformers cartoon, and also Serpentor in G.I. Joe Real American Hero. Both, of course, Marvel Productions products. So on this date, 5 years ago today, Dick Gautier, voice of Rodimus Prime and Serpentor, passed away at the age of 85. So I thank everybody for being here tonight. I thank everybody for all the likes and shares. Um, Hopefully we can get more people in here. Don't forget, tomorrow night I'll have RJ here with me. We'll be doing the historical comic retrospect. We'll be going over Dell Comics. So I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow night. And with that, I shall wish you all adieu. Bye.